Shalom, shalom, Israel. There's no saint left behind. Coming to you in an edifying video. And this video is going to be about leprosy. They call it vitiligo, something like that. Excuse me. But leprosy. We're going to get into leprosy and by the grace of Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai. I'm going to show you that through the word, having so-called white skin, it's a plague, which is called leprosy. There's nothing beautiful about having white skin, so-called white skin. All right? If you can see this woman right here, they making her feel good about her skin changing. But this woman has a plague, which is called leprosy. There's nothing good about this. And according to the word, she's unclean because her body is not consumed all the way with this vitiligo, this leprosy. The so-called white man, he's a clean leopard, which is a plague upon him because he's consumed from his head to his feet. And we're going to get into that. But first, I just want to start out with saying all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Akims out there. That's keeping the word and doing their best to do what Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai said by rehearsing his law, statutes, commandments to the best of their ability. All right, so let's get into this, and then we're going to get into a strip. And let's see what the Most High Yahweh has to say about this so-called white skin, these leopard people in this world.
If we say you're very brave doing that, and we commend you for doing that, is that the way you want to be perceived as brave, or do you just want to be perceived as you?
I just want to be perceived as just me.
And you see, they telling her she's brave for doing this, but the only thing they're doing, they're making her feel good about having a plague, having leprosy. There's nothing good about this. Look what the title says on there. A black woman turning white. That should say a black woman turned into a leopard. And this is the same thing that happened to Moses' sister. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
It's just the way God made me, so I just want to be me.
Well, you're happy.
See, Yahweh didn't make her like that. The sin that she committed has caused her to become a leopard. Whatever she did, the Most High has cursed her and gave her that plague to be a leopard. Just like the so-called white man, the Edomites.
To get used to the way God's made you is a work in progress, isn't it? I mean, because this vitiligo is spreading, therefore you're becoming whiter and whiter. So I suppose over the years you've had to adapt your whole thought process about how you perceive yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And how is that? And how have people reacted to you?
Some people have accepted it, like my family and friends and people that know me, and other people are really rude and really mean.
So when were you diagnosed, and how did you feel when you got that diagnosis? Did you know anything about vitiligo?
Let's get a scripture about this vitiligo, this leopard, all right? And then we'll go back to this video. All right, let's go to Leviticus 13, and we're going to start at chapter 13, verse 9. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he should be brought unto the priest. You see what it says, it's calling this leprosy a plague. Verse 10, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising. You see, it says if the rising be white in the skin. So we see that she have white skin. The rising, her skin is turning white. So she got a plague, which is called leprosy. Verse 11, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And so she is unclean because the rising, her skin is turning white. All right, and it's going to, now we're going to go to verse 12, and the verse 12 is going to talk about a clean leopard. All right, let's go to verse 12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, abroad means all over the skin, Hers is not all over the skin. It's just in certain spots of her skin. She still have so-called black skin, brown skin. And the leprosy cover all the skin of him that have the plague, from his head even to his feet. So the leprosy she have is not covering her whole body from her head to her feet. But the so-called white man and white woman, which is red, but the Caucasians, their leprosy is from their head unto the soles of their feet. So they have a plague which is called leprosy, but they're considered as a clean leper because it consumed the whole body and not partial of the body. She is called an unclean leper because she have partial white skin pigmentation. Let me read this again, verse 12. And if the leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that have the plague, from his head even to his feet, his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, verse 13, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. So the so-called white man and white woman is a clean leper, but they have the plague of leprosy. They have no melanin in their skin. So to be a so-called white man or a so-called white woman, which is an Edomite, it's a plague. They are leprosies. That's all they is, just leopards. Same thing that happened to Moses' arm. Same thing happened to Miriam. And we're going to get into that. But let's go back to this video and let's look at this unclean leopard, because she has white patches. She's not fully consumed with this leprosy, so she's unclean. So-called white man and white woman is clean leopards, but they do have that plague. No, you didn't, Satan. Ooh, you see what the devil just did? See what the devil just did? He just knocked it off. But I'm going to go back and get it, though. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Bear with me, people. Y'all see the enemy trying to stop this video from going out. He tried to stop it, man. They never did that. Where it jumped right off. But we got it back. Let's get back to it.
Friends and people that know me, and other people are really rude and really mean.
So when were you diagnosed, and how did you feel?
See, this is an unclean leopard. So her plague, she's unclean. There's nothing good about this. You see the rising of the skin is white in different places. See, the white man that she's talking to is a clean leopard because he's consumed from his head down to the soles of his feet. And that so-called white woman.
When you got that diagnosis, did you know anything about vitiligo?
See, look, she's unclean. She has a plague. There's nothing beautiful about this.
Did you know how bad it might become?
No.
So now look at these Edomites, which be on the left of your string. They are leopards. That's called leprosy. They have no pigmentation, but they're called clean lepers. But they are born with this plague. But she's an unclean leopard because she have patches.
Actually didn't know anything about vitiligo at all. When I got diagnosed with vitiligo, when I got to...
They calling it vitiligo, but it's a leopard. It's called leprosy. The Most High named it leprosy. They're trying to make her feel better. But we're going to watch a little bit more, and then we're going to get into some more scriptures.
The dermatologist, and he told me what it was. He actually showed me on the computer different images of different people who had vitiligo. Mm-hmm. And I was devastated.
So by watching this, I keep thinking about Moses' sister. So let's just go on and get to that scripture, man. Let's go get Miriam. Let's see where Miriam went wrong at. Let's go to Numbers. Numbers 12, and we're gonna start at 10. But first, I'm gonna go up so you can know what's going on. You go to 12 and 1. And Miriam, this is Moses' sister. Now, these are so-called black people, man. These are Hebrew Israelites. Excuse me. These are dark brown people, man. Different shades of brown. These are not Edomites. I know that's what the white man told you. So-called white man told you. But these are our ancestors, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Numbers 12, chapter 12, verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron was Moses' brother, who the priesthood come through, the Levites. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. So, it was against our customs to marry outside of our nation. So Miriam, running her mouth like the so-called black woman normally do, always got something to say. And she got Aaron running his mouth too. So they mad because Moses married Ethiopian. But if you know anything about Moses, Moses fled out of Slovakia, out of Egypt. And, the Ethiopian priest took him in, he went to the well and, fed the women's animals, and he ended up marrying one of the women. So, and he was out there by himself, so wasn't no women around. So, Jake, if your women ain't around, another woman around, that's who Jake gonna be with. Jake likes sex. Verse 2, and they said, had Yahweh indeed spoke only by Moses? See, now they talking about, they saying the Most High don't only speak through Moses, he speak through us too. See, listen, had he not spoken also by us? In Yahweh heard it. See, the Most High heard them talking this smack. But Moses was a humble and meek guy. But we're gonna get on down to the bottom. So I just want to show you why this plague came upon Miriam. But you got to notice it didn't come upon Aaron. And we're gonna get into that. All right, Numbers 12 and 10. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. So Miriam started looking like this woman right here. All right, this is what Miriam began to look like, a leper. She became white as snow. Why? Because she spoke against the man of the Most High. See, a lot of these women out here are speaking against the man of the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And they gonna suffer the consequences, man. The Most High gonna put these women through hell, just like he did Miriam. That's hell to have leprosy, man. To have that plague. All right. It says, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Okay, now you see that Aaron turned leprous, but only Miriam. But they both was talking against Moses because the woman was out of pocket. The woman was out of pocket. It's the father, the son, man, then woman. There's no equality in this thing. It's no 50-50. I know that's what the Edomites told you, the so-called white man. But you notice the Most High didn't plague Aaron with leprosy, but only Miriam, because the woman was out of pocket. And if you know anything about our women, they always got to run their mouth. They always got to come against their men, so-called black men, Hispanic, and Native American. Our women always come against us. Verse 11, and Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us. See, you heard that? It's a sin to have white skin. To be a leprous is a sin. Let's start number 11 again. And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us. So Aaron is begging the man of Yahweh, Moses, to not take the leprosy away from Miriam and don't let it come upon him. So he said, lay not the sin upon us, which is white skin. The so-called white man is sin. So when you read the Bible, they talk about the father's sin, and he sinned when you read the Bible, they talk about he sinned from the beginning. It's talking about the so-called white man, the Edomites. So-called white man and white woman are nothing but sin. They wrapped in sin, white skin, leopards. All right. And Aaron said, verse 11, Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. See, they done foolishly by coming against Moses, the man of the Most High, speaking against the prophet. That's foolishly. That's sinning. So you people out there that's speaking against us, the men of the Most High that's bringing His word out, if you be our woman, our friend, our brother, our sister, the Most High is going to deal with you accordingly. Believe that. All right? Because it's a sin to come against the man of the Most High. Verse 12. Let her not be as one dead. To have white skin, to be an Edomite, a so-called white man or white woman, is to be as one dead. Read that again, verse 12. Let her not be as one dead. Because she looked like a so-called white woman now. She looked dead. I'm going to continue. Of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. So it's saying, when a baby, when a baby is born and the baby look damn near white or so super light, that's called half consumed because the baby don't have the pigmentation that it should have. That's why when your baby born, if you look at the tip of their ears, you can tell the complexion they're going to have when they grow older. Their pigmentation. When, the tip of the baby ears let you know how dark that baby is going to turn within the next 4 or 5 weeks. So he said, verse 12 again, let her not be as one dead. So to have white skin, to be a leprous or so-called white man, white woman, is to be as one dead. They wrapped in dead skin, man. Leprosy, white skin. Of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. All right? So when our babies come out real light, their flesh is half consumed. Why? Because the pigmentation ain't took place yet. Verse 13. And Moses cried unto Yahweh, saying, heal her now, O power, I beseech thee. So Moses went crying unto the Father Yahweh, asking him to hear his sister, man, to heal his sister. And let's see what the Most High said. Because, see, Moses was a humble man, but, he was meek, man. He wouldn't have did nothing to him. He was like, all right, whatever, shut up. But the Most High knew that Moses wouldn't put her in her place, so he did it. Moses been a passive man when it came to his sister. So the Most High had to put her in her place because she was out of pocket. But he didn't do nothing to Aaron. Why? Because Aaron was a man. See, you women can't come against these men, man. Y'all can't come against us, man. Wife, friend, sister, cousin, whatever. The Most High is going to deal with you. Verse 14. And Yahweh said unto Moses, if her father has spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? So if a man spits a woman's face, she should be shamed 7 days. That means she's unclean for 7 days because she got spit in her face. Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received in again. So the Most High said, kick her ass outside the camp because she's a leopard. So that means you can't be around the people. So now she got to go outside of the camp, outside of the gates, and live out there alone for 7 days. Verse 15. And Miriam was shut outside from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Mary was brought in again. So they stayed where they was at until her 7 days was up before they went back on their journey. Because she spoke against the men of the Most High. She spoke against Moses. And you women that speak against the men of the Most High will be judged too accordingly. We have different judgments for different people. But I was showing you to show this because she was a so-called black woman and her skin was turned as white as snow, as one that is dead, as these Edomites look like. So this is a dirty leopard woman. All right, and I'm going to play a little bit more of this video, and then we're going to jump back to more scripture.
I guess the pictures that he showed me, they kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah, and initially when you dealt with it, you used...
So, you see that white woman right there? So-called white woman, that Edomite? That's how Miriam came out looking. Just like her. So look at these lepers, these uncleans, they're wrapped in sin. All right? Now let's go to Moses. Let's go get this about Moses. Show you when Moses put his hand in his bosom, that his hand turned as white like a leopard, man. I think that's Exodus 4 and 6. All right. And the Lord said, and Yahweh said furthermore to him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. So let's let you know that Moses was a so-called black man too, which would he'd have been a Levite today. Well, he was a Levite then. So that let you know that Moses, this was a miracle that the Most High was showing him. So Moses had to be a so-called black man for his hand to turn white as snow. And Moses had a leopard. Most High is just showing him, you know, a sign where he's going to have to show Pharaoh when he go in there. Just, you know, to show that the Most High is working with him and dealing with him. Now, I'm going to go show you a man, a so-called black man with white hands and a white face. All right, do you see this man right here? This man is unclean. This plague of leprosy is on him because he's not totally consumed. And then the Bible tells you about the white hair that come out the skin. So he's a dirty leper. He's unclean. But you see that his hand is white? That's how Moses' hand looked it when he brought his hand out of his bosom. Because Moses was a so-called black man. He was a Hebrew. All your characters in the Bible, all your prophets, all your women, all your Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes was pigmented, dark-skinned people, man, before they got raped out by the so-called white man and they started sleeping with the other nations. That's what lightened up our flesh, gave us confusions of faces. So this is how Moses' hand came out, like this, as white as snow. So now this plague is upon him. He's an unclean leper because he's not fully consumed. All right, let's finish this out. Verse 7. And he said, put thy hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So Moses' hand became back, you know, so-called black brown. That lets you know that, you know, Moses was a so-called black man. So that's leprosy, man. And I just, you know, the Most High gave me this to show you that so-called white men and white women are unclean. They are lepers. And you people that's out there sleeping with these people are sleeping with unclean leopard beasts. Y'all sleeping with animals if you're sleeping with a so-called white man and white woman. They're unclean. That's a plague that's upon them. All right? And I'm going to end. So, Shalom, Israel.